The first reading is a continual reading, let's say, from the narrations of Genesis. Yesterday we heard of the renewal of the pact, the covenant between God and man in the person of Noah. And it's good to know a little bit of a background to understand the reading of today, which tells the story of Babel, the Tower of Babel. We've heard the story before, but to understand it a little bit more deeply, it's good to know where it comes from. Noah had three sons. Three sons were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, the first son in the ancient days was the one who was to receive the blessing from the father, and that then would be that he would follow on as the authority figure in the family. He would be the priest, the firstborn of the families. The male firstborn would be the priest of the family. So it would have been Shem who would receive the authority from his father and to take over the reins as being the authority figure in the whole family. Now it's a fight over power, because Ham, who was the second in line, obviously fell into envy, and he wanted to usurp and to obtain that authority and power for himself. Now, in the ancient days, it was he who had the woman who was seen to have the power. Now, Ham, in order to usurp the power from his brother who was in line to receive the blessing from his father, committed a grievous sin against his father and more directly against his mother in order to usurp that power from his brother. Now, instead of getting the blessing, then he received a curse from his father as a result of this grievous sin he committed. Ham, or Porky, let's call him Porky because that's more in line with the sin that he commits. Anyway, Shem was the one in line. He receives the blessing from his father, and now if you follow the descendants from these children, Ham, who got the curse, who wanted to usurp the power, he has his children, and in the line of him comes Nimrod, who was a great warrior hunter in the face of God, and he's the one who's the founder of the city of Babel. Now, those who founded Babel, you can see what their sin is. They said, "Let us build a tower which reaches from the earth up into heaven." They want to become like gods, and they want to do it in their own way, so we can make a name for ourselves. Now, in the plan of God, the only one whose name that should be exalted is the glorious name of God, and he who exalts God and glorifies God will be exalted by God. And that we will see after this story in the person of Abraham, who is of the line of Shem, the one who receives the blessing from God. And God promised Abraham that he would glorify his name. His name would be great amongst the nations. Right? But here we're talking about the line of Ham, of Porky, and that is Nimrod, and they want to make a name for themselves. And God sees this, and the only logical solution is that those who glorify themselves and exalt themselves will be humbled. And that's what God does. He comes down, sees their intentions, and he divides them. And that's where they get the name Babel from. He separates them by confusing their language so they can't understand one another. And I think it's just a symbolical way of explaining how the sin of pride, superiority, arrogance works. Too many chiefs and not enough Indians, so to speak. When there's so many people with that pride and ambition clumped together, there is no real unity. There's only division that comes about, and that's what happens in this case here. So, I mean, Jesus even refers to this in the gospel about those who exalt themselves. He says, if anyone wants to be a follower of mine, let him renounce himself and take up his cross and follow me. So we want to be of that line of Jesus, and if we want to be that line of Jesus and to be truly his disciples, we have to learn to renounce ourselves, walk by the way of humility and charity, forgetting ourselves in serving one another. We can ask Our Lady, the humble servant of the Lord, to intercede for us that we may live like that. Amen.